So our next speaker is going to be Odile Limpach, who is a professor for economics and entrepreneurship at the Cologne Games Lab. She also is a co-founder of an acceleration program called Spielfabrik and a strategic games consultant. She will talk about career and entrepreneurship in the gaming industry, particularly for people who are not necessarily game freaks. So I'm looking forward to find out what she has to tell about that.
Hello. So I'm very analog today. I have papers. Can I close it or is it going to? Yeah, perfect. Cool. Hi. I was wondering if there would be more men. Not much. So, yes, I want to speak about the game industry and what kind of jobs opportunities you have there. And the first question, I think I've been working in the game industry for more than 20 years now. And I'm still asked, do I play at work? And actually, yes. And I love to annoy my children about that. I'm going to go home tomorrow evening and they're going to ask me, Anne, how was your trip? And I say, oh, I saw that great game. But I can't tell you because it's not finished yet. And so somehow I'm a cool mom because the kids are still young enough that they think, oh, it's cool, I see things. But they also hate it because I know what they play. So they are not allowed to play games that are not for their age. I can speak with their friends when they come home and we discuss about the games and what they like. And sometimes it's a little bit annoying for the kids. So this is the bad side of working for the game industry. Well, but who am I? I'm French, living in Germany for more than 20 years. Why Germany? The official answer is because I wanted to make an international career. The real one is I got in love with a German guy when I was studying in the US. And, well, I was supposed to do an internship in Germany. I think it's 25 years ago. A very long internship now. And we have 3 kids and a dog. I said a dog because it takes as much time as kids, actually. Be careful with that. So I am a professor at the Cologne Game Lab at the Technical University of Cologne. It sounds very serious, and we teach only people that make games. That's really fun. I'm the co-founder of Spielfabrik. It's an accelerator for video game startup. I'm a consultant for video games, and also I'm an advisor for French companies that want to come to Germany. And I work with Game for Change for Europe. But before I did that, I'm a kind of traditional person for the game industry, actually. That's why I like to tell about what I've been doing before. The last thing I was doing before becoming a game professor and a founder of Spielfabrik, I was managing the studio of Ubisoft called Blue Byte, so a developed game studio. And we bought the studio, there was approximately 30 persons working there. And 3 years ago, when I left, we were 300 plus in 2 different cities. So it was a lot of growth, it was a lot of managing. What I did when I was there and managing this kind of company? Actually, it was about, develop games, make good games, make great games, the best possible. It was about looking for opportunities, understanding the market, looking where the market is coming, what kind of platform should we develop on, and it's always with really looking into the future, because when you develop a game, it takes 1, 2, or 3 years. So you have to decide what do we think is going to be good to have in 3 years, and it's not always easy. It was a lot about organization. When it's a lot of growth, then it's also a lot about HR, about trying to develop people, to help them grow, to help them so that they develop also the company. That was I did that 7 years, the development studio. Before, I was actually in the marketing and sales. So I studied marketing, sales, and international affairs, very traditional, and I made an MBA in the US, where I met my husband. And so I started at Ubisoft doing sales and marketing, actually. And it was also actually developing and managing growth. So when we started the company, the distribution subsidiary of Ubisoft, we were 5 people, and we ended kind of 7 years after, like 75 person, and we just developed the business. So we had only at the beginning 2 games to sell, and at the end we had a lot of games to sell. We were doing the sales, the marketing, the sales again. It was a lot about selling to MediaMarkt, to Karstadt, to Saturn, to all these people that were distributing games. It was a lot about profit, actually. The day where my boss offered me the job of being a managing director, he just gave me a profit and loss page and said, okay, now this is your responsibility. And I think it sums everything you have to do. Actually, everything you do when you do marketing and sales, in managing a company, is looking at your profit at the end and trying to optimize. I did a little bit of logistics there. That was a crazy job because we needed to ship our products. At that time, it was boxes. And I learned a lot working with logistic people. And before I was doing marketing and PR for games, I think I stopped counting. I didn't change the company I was working for very often. Actually, I worked 18 years for the same company, but I had so many different jobs. At the beginning, I changed every year, I think, being product manager, project manager, being international marketing, being marketing director, and so on, because this game industry is changing so much. And there was a lot of variety, so I never got bored. That's why I stayed there also, and I stayed in this gaming industry, actually. Somehow I changed, after I've changed every 7 years, I don't know if there is a pattern there or if it's just by luck. So if you look at all this, what I've been doing, and now with being a professor on one side and being an entrepreneur myself and teaching entrepreneurship on the other side, my focus really is on building new companies, on managing growth, on developing new markets, helping younger people to grow. And preparing this talk, actually, I think I didn't do it that bad because the companies I was working for, I have put my successors there before I left. I put them in the job. And the only thing, there are 2 men, actually. So this is something I did wrong, probably. But they are still there, and they're doing a good job. So what does it mean about gaming industry, and what can you do there? Maybe a key fact, you probably are all tired now after the day. So that's why I want to ask you a couple of questions. So what do you know how many people play in Germany? I am a teacher, you know. I ask questions. 34. It's almost half of German play games. So it's a big industry. More men or women? Half, exactly. Half men, half women. And which age group is the strongest? 50 plus. Okay, you made your homework, you went to the game web page, very good. That's the way it should be, you were prepared. And it's all level of education. It's craftsmen, it's lawyers sitting in the plane this morning coming to Berlin. You can see all these very serious business people playing on their mobile phone. So it's a very bright market with a lot of different people, a lot of different games and products. So you can find something that you like to work for. You know the turnover also? Last year? In Germany? 2 billion. So big. And growth, 7%. And I've been working very long for this industry, and it has always been growth. And it's not that usual that the market has a growth for 20 years, and it's always between 5 and 10%. So very dynamic market. So maybe you notice this is a kind of an advertising talk for the gaming industry. But why do I am ready to do that, and nobody asked me to do an advertising talk for the gaming industry, is that because I think it's an interesting market. So what is the gaming industry? Actually, first you have to know it's very, very, very international. You always work internationally. You can't just, well, they might, in a serious gaming field, you might have one or two games that are developed in German for German school or whatever, but even this, you can actually export it to other countries. So it's always very international. It's very much to do with online, of course. And what does make the game market very exciting for me, actually, is that you're always at the verge of technical innovation. And since I stopped working for Ubisoft and decided to go and found my own company, I started also to speak more with other industries. I was very much in the gaming industry for many, many years. And then I started to speak with banks, with insurance companies, with industry companies. And then I realized how good I knew technology, how good I was aware about innovation, about what is at the verge of innovation right now, compared to these people. I thought they were very smart, but for me it was very natural that I know what motion gesture is. It really came from the game industry. Another technology that came almost only from the game industry. Thinking, artificial intelligence. When you play, you have to play against somebody. And if the computer is stupid, it doesn't make fun to play. So the game industry has been the first one to really work on artificial intelligence, and now everybody wants to have artificial intelligence. It came from the game industry. Do you know how big like cruise ships and yachts are being directed on the sea? With a joystick. Where does it come from? Game industry. And something I'm always here, and I don't want to bash too much on German companies, but have you tried to buy a train ticket in Germany? Even for me, after 20 years, sometimes I was like, oh, where do I have to push the button? This is called user interface, man-machine interface. Games, most of the time, you do not need to read the manual for it. They are intuitive. This is something we have been doing for 20 years and more, developing user interfaces that are easy to understand, that take the people on a journey and teach them how to play the game step by step, being more and more difficult. I wish my bank would have spoken with us before they developed their banking software. I wish there are so many devices that lack this quality of user interface, and this is something that the game industry knows by heart, and is just, for any developer, for any person making game, it's just a nonsense to say, oh, and you have to look at the manual and to see what does this button mean. And I think the industries could learn much more from the game industry. Something very, also 3D visualization, graphics. A lot of industry are using now all the power and the knowledge that has been developed in the game industry and swapping over to other industries like VR, virtual reality, augmented reality. These are all technologies that have been there in the game industry for a long time and that are used now by other industries. Cloud computing. So it's not that the game industry is doing everything right, but there are a lot of things to learn. And it's a very good place to be close to innovation, to be close to technology. If you feel like this is something you like, I think this is a place where, and it's also very diversified. It's not only one aspect of technology, it's a lot of different aspects of technology. That I must say now I can use also to speak to other industries, because I learned to know many things about technology just by being in the game industry. It's a very modern project culture. Agility, what is design thinking, what is very, very fashionable for the moment, is something that I think we didn't know it had this name actually. Working with multidisciplinary teams with very different people, different country, but also always you can't develop a game with only one sort of people. You have to mix them. And this is something you learn very much in the gaming industry. I think multicultural, the talk before, it's obvious, international project, generation mix. Now we have young people. I love that. I love to work with my students because I feel old, but I learn so much from them. So it's always very good to have this mix of generation of people seeing differently. I have my experience, they have their innovation, they have their other way of thinking, of seeing things, that each time I work with them, I learn something. We work also in very different team size. You can develop a game with 3 persons, you can develop a game with 500 persons. It's not the same way of working, but it's almost, I would say, the same challenges. It's just be small or scalable. But it does also mean to openness, to be very open, to modern management methods, to agility, to change. What I'm doing today has nothing to do with what I was doing for 5 years and for 10 years. I completely changed jobs, I changed the way I work, I changed the people the way I work, I changed the technology. So if you really have to be open to that and curious, and then it makes great fun. But this is something, a requirement. Or something also the game industry knows very well to do. It's customer-oriented work. Put the gamer at the center. You've heard of user-generated content, gamer-generated content, about first asking the person, the player, what they want and how they feel, and always listening. This is also something a lot of industry do not know how. And I have a very, very good girlfriend working for a very big mobile company, and it's like they still think, oh, we have one thing and we sell it and that's fine. And just, they do not look for this relationship with their customer. And I think it's very wrong the way and this is something also the game industry has just done with online coming, something very naturally. And also we know all our products live somehow from social structures. E-sport. Games are about playing it together, playing against each other, helping each other, cooperate each other. So you learn a lot about this also. I've always, the last 14 years, I was in a job at the gaming industry. Actually, I was a managing director, and it's a lot about profit and loss, it's about figures. But I learned so much about motivational theories because I had to speak with my game designer, because I have to speak with my HR about understanding people, understanding game design, understanding how you motivate people to play or not, to keep on playing or not. I learned a lot about this because it's part of the game. And of course, it's a lot about big data, about KPIs, about measuring. And one thing I like most, actually, it's about creativity and innovation. There are so many changes in the market, and luckily, it's working in the game industry is working with people that are innovative, that have strong personalities, that want to change the world, and I think that's the best part about it, actually. So curiosity is important. Learning, always be ready to learn and to change and to adapt is something important. So, but, I have to hurry. What does it take to develop a game in the market? I can't tell you, that's why I didn't have any slides, because more than 50 different job titles and many more. There's kind of 2 different tracks you can go for, I would say, very simplified. You can become an expert in something, and I think this is something also you have to think for you, about you, what you like, what is you can do best. You can become an expert in one field, and then it doesn't mean that you have a lot of responsibility for people, you have a big team or whatever, but you are very good at one thing. And you do it, and you can do it daily, and you can improve and make it grow. And it can be in any possible field. It's not only in programming, it can be in business, in online marketing, whatever. Having something, being an expert in something very good, and being in this material. Or you are something that you know a subject well, but you are a good manager also, about managing people, having a bigger team, and helping people to grow, to develop themselves. And I think on this, you have to be also aware that in this case, you don't have time anymore to go deep into the material. That's why I was, at some point, I said I don't want to be the managing director of Blue Byte anymore because I have 300 people and I spend my time in meetings and I'm not at the projects anymore. And that's what I was missing. I realized I really miss being with the team, discussing with the game designer, the programmers and so on, and really working myself on the project. I realized this is what I like, so I prefer to work in a small companies, to have my own company that I manage all the projects, so I have to book my flights by myself, but this is my project, and when I'm finished, I know what I've done, and I prefer that than just being like somebody managing a lot of people. This is, I don't say one is good, one is bad, it's just something very personal you have to find out also about you. There are a lot of universities and schools and state university now in Germany when you can study game design, programming, online marketing, media. So there's a lot of choices about what you want to study when you want to study games. And there will be a book published by the Cologne Game Lab. I think it's next month, it's coming out, when you have all the possibility described in Germany about studying games. So if you want to work in the game industry, you are not supposed to be a gamer. You can be a gamer, and it's good if you're a gamer, and it's good if you're passionate, but you can be passionate for your field. It can be passion for marketing, it can be passion for online, it can be passion for whatever you like. It just, you don't have to be a gamer, you have to understand game, like you in any industry, you have to understand your product and the people working for them. But the importance is the passion and not being a gamer. So a couple of examples on the different, what can you do in the game industry? You can invent the game, being on a game designer, a level designer, a content director, a data analyst, a mathematician, creative director, everything that's about has the game rules and how a game works. There are the graphic parts, being 2D graphics, 3D graphics, animator, user interface, concept artist, with a pen or directly on PC, technical artist, art director. You have so many different specializations in the art. It's the same for programming. A lot of different programming specializations. So I wouldn't recommend to be specialized on a program because it changes. But it can be tool programmer, it can be web programmer, online, gameplay, sound. So we have a lot of expert or graphic programmer. In the marketing and sales, it's more the traditional. You can be sales, marketing, product manager, online marketing specialist, data analyst. All these field and jobs are in the gaming industry. Studio operation, an important part, or company operation, actually it can be for distribution, also being a project manager, marketing manager, PR manager, brand manager, office, online shop operator. Of course, you have everything also on the organization side, being human resources, finance, administration, purchasing. So you can enter there in a more classical way. There are a big part being so-called customer satisfaction, so all the customer relation management that is growing. And also a part that is, I think, still growing is business analysis, community management, quality control, tester. It's fun to play. It's not fun to play for 10 days the same game and the same level and to test it. So you have to think about what you want to say. So I was saying I was going to speak about entrepreneurship, and actually all of what I told you about what it takes to work in the gaming industry, it's about being an entrepreneur. To be, the definition of entrepreneurship is the capacity and willingness to develop, organize, and manage a business along with any of its risks in order to make a profit. And when you think about what I just told you, actually entrepreneurship, the keys to success in the game industry is the openness to new media and technology, open to other, to diversity. It's be ready to work in multidisciplinary and to change regularly, to completely think over what you are doing and about your market. So it's very having a lot of curiosity, and it's a lot about fun at work, actually. So if you have this entrepreneurship spirit, it's a good start to be to go into the game industry. And I'm not meaning that entrepreneurship, of course, it's starting your own business, but it's also intrapreneurship, making that anywhere you work, it's good to have these skills and to manage your project, whatever you do as an entrepreneur, to take the risk, to be ready to analyze, to think about what is the profit, what is the return on investment about what I'm doing. So it's really about managing also. So it's inside the company also. So what I do, I tell my students always when, they know they want to make a game, they know they want to make games when they come to the Cologne Game Lab, but I always tell them also know yourself and know how the others are looking at you. There might be a difference, so think about it. And to come back to the talk before, I think, of course, men are not equal to women. We are different. I can't find any classification. I think it's very dangerous to put some classification, what women do better, what men do better. So diversity is definitely important. We need more women in the game industry as in general. I always think that you can turn, or you can really make being a woman in the game industry as an advantage, because there are not that much. And people most of the time remember my name. It's not because I have a pink dress, also it's because, there are not much people doing this, so they remember you better than maybe another man. You can always turn it to your advantage and see it as an advantage, actually. And when you can do all what I was telling you before about entrepreneurship, managing, changing, being flexible, bringing a lot of curiosity, I think you can manage family and job pretty well also. This is something I always have been saying for years now at all the events. I've been speaking about women and jobs, and there's something for me, it's really important. Being French, I think I always had the support of my family and of my husband about working, having kids, and managing everything. Not perfectly, but somehow we managed. And I think it's really important also when you're young and you want to start in the gaming industry or somewhere else, is to really have your supporting network, have your partner, husband, whoever, have a nanny, have a babysitter, have your grandparents. Think that you're not going to make it alone. You need to have somehow a lot of people around you that are going to help you to manage all this, because a family is a company. And in my Outlook, I have all my appointments plus all the appointments of the kids, because otherwise I forgot who is going to football where, when, tennis, and whatever. It's too much. So I just enter everything and it works. Choose wisely your company that is taking care of the diversity. I think I was really lucky to work for a French company that for them it was just normal that we have a family, that we have kids, that we go for a couple of months out of job, that we come back, that we have sometimes home office when the kids are back. But it was also for them normal that we were doing our job even if we had kids, and we were ready to sometimes just in the afternoon go after the kids, but then in the evening then write 3 emails because they were urgent and they couldn't wait for the day after. So it's really be ready to make some hard decisions and be very well organized. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I thought I would have more time for questions.